The YouTubers featured in this video are playing on alt accounts. I didn't know who they were until around halfway through their coordinated attack. They knew it was me from the start. Some of you might recognize one of the names, but I'm not going to name and shame them in this video. Enjoy. I joined a lobby and my attention immediately focused in on these two players, for obvious reasons. And look at that. It's always the ones you most suspect. Looks like they're outnumbering this guy in a 2v1, and they're probably using BST against him too.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
I get orbed all the time by random players who recognize me, so I didn't think much of it. I went back over to the fight to get a closer look at what was going on, but I got sniped as soon as I got there. Then as soon as I started fighting back, it became clear to me that these guys are all playing together. These two on the hill, this guy in the jetpack, and the guy who orbed me has come out on an upside-down Mark II. The orb warrior goes off radar to try get a cheap kill, which is pretty funny because later in the video he complains about me going off radar. This is a terrible area to get into a fight, one of the worst spawn traps in the game, and I didn't even have time to drop BST, which they were using against me. I retired from my CEO in the hopes they'd stop using BST, but I should have known better than to trust people like these. The score means literally nothing to me, so I just let him shoot me in the back. If he needs easy kills that bad, take them. Now put yourself in my position. I've been orbed, outnumbered by dirty players, and then this guy comes along. Later he tries to say because I shot first, that's why he got involved. When in reality, I knew they were all together, and he came towards me in a hostile way, trying to antagonize me into shooting first, so he'd have an excuse to fight me too. Someone in the lobby messaged me and told me who these guys were, and it started to make sense why they orbed and why this guy is using the jetpack against me. Which was disappointing because we've often commented on each other's videos, and I assumed there was a mutual respect between us, but apparently not. Once they started thermal wall banging me, I pretty much just gave up and tried to get away from the fight. But these kids were clearly off their ADHD medication and couldn't just let me go. One even teleported closer to me as I tried to get away. And funnily enough, when I called him out for his toxic play, he tried to gaslight me into thinking people will laugh at me for exposing his dirty tactics. And by the way, playing dirty isn't a play style. It's just been normalized by Tryhard YouTubers, so all the EWO kids in the game now have an excuse to play the way they do. But they kept coming and were surrounding me, So I ended up jumping into passive for a few seconds, just so I could get away from these toxic sweats. One of them sent me this message, and it became obvious that they knew exactly who I was. One of them teleported onto Maze Bank and kept taking pot shots at me while the other two chased me on a motorbike. I slowed down, thinking maybe they were going to be friendly now, but apparently not. I really need to stop being so trusting of these type of players. It didn't matter how far away I drove, they kept coming after me. Watch the guy in the scramjet. He realizes he can't lock on to my car and then teleports over to the helipad to get a savage and go off radar. Then when I go inside, he calls me boring. What an absolute moron. Let's take a quick look at these degenerates. Yep, exactly what you'd expect. Then as I'm setting a trap for one of the teleporters, this other guy spends some of his hard-earned money on an orb.
It's only a game. Why do you have to be mad?
And look who's waiting at the spawn point for me. I'm surprised he didn't thermal snipe me here, but he does something way worse instead. The upside-down Mark II. The most unfair thing you can do to another player. There's literally nothing you can do against it since the game doesn't let us aim straight up. So I just let him vent his teenage anger on me since he needs it so bad. Eventually, their ADHD medication kicks in and they stop farming me. I give the Orb Warrior a parting gift before I leave. But this must have really gotten under his skin because not 5 minutes later, they all started joining my new session and the sweatiness continued. Sometimes the universe has a way of balancing itself out, and for the next 20 minutes these guys got farmed by a player doing an off-radar God mode glitch. Obviously, I don't condone that sort of behavior, but this made me laugh. A while later, as I went into my Avenger, my internet cut out. You'd think that would be the end of it, right? Unfortunately not. A few days later, I'm just flying around minding my own business when I spot a familiar name on the player list. Then I could see some players up in their facility pausing the game, looking at the map, probably giggling like schoolgirls. I knew what was coming. This is the Orb Warrior from earlier on a different account. He comes out in a Savage a few minutes later, but I wasn't in the mood of letting some sweaty loser farm me for his griefing YouTube channel, so I went back to my apartment. I went passive and came out on my bike. My mission now was to annoy the piss out of him. Here's a bit of background on this guy to show you the kind of clown we're dealing with here. All he does is orb players and then use the upside-down Mark II in his videos. His Instagram has a bunch of botted accounts following him, so I assume his YouTube channel is the same. He keeps getting comments calling him a dirty player, so he comes out and apologizes for it only to continue playing dirty. He had beef with someone in the past and went as far as making an account with a near-identical name as his enemy. I'm not sure what he did with that account, but that's actual psychopathic behavior. They seem to have an issue with other YouTubers, too. I'm not the first one they've started beef with. He's extremely arrogant, too, saying, "Yes, I'm underrated as fuck." And best of all, he says him and his friends don't E-woe and how he's a clean player. Keep watching. I'm going to disprove all that. This guy is a delusional, low IQ hypocrite. Sorry about the noise of this horn, but I bet his blood was boiling throughout this. And by the way, he started fighting these guys. And when they started outplaying him, that's when his friends arrived to help. It was pretty funny to watch this happen right before my eyes. You're a clean player? Sure, buddy. Now, if there's one thing I know about orb warriors, it's that they're terrified of getting orbed. I'll let you in on a little secret. I don't even own the orb on this account. But the mere act of me standing inside my facility was enough to send them on an E-woe loop. One of them hopped into an RC car or delayed his spawn, then left. All because they care so much about GTA scores. Now the orb warrior left, but his friends didn't follow him, meaning he's probably going to join back on a different account. So I kept my eyes towards the facilities. And sure enough, someone spawns in there within 5 minutes on an account called Blue Kitten. Wow, they sound so friendly and non-threatening. This guy is not very stealthy or smart about his approach and makes an obvious beeline towards me. So I just go back to my apartment. I'm not giving this loser any content for his channel. We've already seen that he's a dirty player. I'm not interested in fighting losers like these. He still thinks I don't know it's him and starts asking for help because someone is griefing him when he's literally the one doing the griefing. So I come over to help and whoopsie-daisy, I shot the wrong player. How foolish of me. There's no point pretending to be a normal player if you're just going to start blowing yourself up mid-fight and exposing yourself as a tryhard in disguise. And there it is. Now he's showing his true colors. Remember earlier when he asked me to get on my jetpack? Looks like he's regretting that now.
3-0, cry.
He teleports over and I quickly exit the situation. He's not getting a fight off me since I know he just blows himself up despite calling himself a clean player. Laughable.
Holy shit!
And yet again, as soon as he's back on radar, he teleports away. But you can't call them out on this kind of thing because it's their play style and they're entitled to play as dirty as they want. But if you heist warp home, you're getting exposed. You know what's funny? He could have played dumb and pretended it wasn't him on an alt and made me look bad for attacking some random guy. But instead, he sent me these messages that proved me right. He's seriously complaining about me using some of the same tactics as him. Only difference is I didn't do it when I had 3 other players helping me. He sat in his apartment for about 10 minutes. Then I get a notification on my phone saying he tagged me in this post, saying we have beef. You can have all the beef you want, buddy. I'm done with you.